Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome to a Tuesday video. This one is all about the brand new hacks and the best champions to counter it. We've got an update to the spreadsheet, which is going to be, well, it's mainly for this month, but it's more for a continuation as well for Incursions. But let's get into it. As a lot of us know, Incursions has benefits and bonuses for different champions in different ways. Whether or not it is power controlling options, whether or not it's champions that have buffs that can then get more spicier potency with their buffs, or it can be damage, like debuff damage, like doing poisons, bleeds and stuff like that. There's a whole plethora of champions that will benefit from hacks, but there are some new hacks that have come into game, or they'll be launching in game on Wednesday, which if you set yourself up with certain champions that we're going to list off, then you'll have an even greater time. And one of the great things about this Incursions run for this month is that you will have less timers, so less time frame on timers. So normally it's like 3 days, 72 hours to then get refreshed champion. This time it's all about 5 minutes. This means that you can change off one particular champion, like say you've got Hercules, but for whatever reason, you're like, well, he doesn't really fit this particular boss I'm going up against, but you want to go back to him at a later date. Well, in 5 minutes time, you can bring the champion back as, yes, he may lose his persistency, but at the same time, you can re-ramp that up quite easily. Or looking at other champions, like certain counters. Say, for example, Viv Vision is going to be a boss that's going to be coming on, and you're like, okay, well, I want to bring in my Magneto. And you might say to yourself, right, we'll bring in Magneto for this particular boss, but then right after, rotate after. So going, okay, I've got Magneto, I've put him into Incursions, then it's the case he's not really usable, so I switch him out for this particular lane, path, whatever, boss, and then you're like, right, well, boom, we'll bring him back in for a Viv Vision room, so you can really change up strategically and also quickly to interact. And one of the other great things about this particular Incursion event that we've got coming on is the new hacks will last the entirety of your Incursions run and won't expire after moving through zones. This is for a 1 month thing, and after this you won't be able to use them. We're going to do like some separate videos on the whole kind of like Incursions narrative, especially for this particular special side quest, but I'm really looking forward to it, especially if you play it well enough. And I'm not mean like, you know, swipe and tap at the right times, but also if you're more strategic with your champion choices and also play into the choice node changes as well. This can be really fun and better than the current Incursions we got in place. A spreadsheet for this will be available in the link in the description. It's my side quest guide spreadsheet. It will have 2 sections to this particular. It's got loads of tabs at the bottom, by the way. Check out the various different tabs because it's got farming guides, it's got like everything. It's a one-stop shop in the link in the description for all things this month, and it will be added to. I have got so many more things to add. You're going to see in this particular section, which is referred to as the best champs for objective plus hack, right? So first of all, we're going to be doing the hack, and then the objective is going to be something that will be on the right hand side in, I think, Wednesday. I'm going to have something ready for that one. But what it will do is have champions that are going to be beneficial to do the objective, but we're not talking about that in this one. We're talking about the new hack, and the new hack does have some really interesting options of champions that I've referred to as god tier, mid tier and low tier. I should really put high tier, but I don't know, I kind of like put it like that. I should just put mid. Anyway, whatever. I just need something to kind of like a quick pointer. The thing about these hacks is, and as I've put here, the below options are either easy to access to get the hack. This means that if you have to do an armor break, what does an armor break as part of like the rotation of mediums or light attacks, because that's easy access to. There will also be like special attacks, but again, we'll come to that bridge when we have to cross it. But also access to more potent hacks. So what I'm referring to that is that you, as soon as you do whatever it is, a special attack, you either get more potent hacks. Also, there's things to point out like relic pairing. Sadly, relic pairing is a bit of a demand this particular time for these new hacks, which I think is something Kabam want to put in place. This basically means that if you've got, and one of the great, there is actually a really decent relic combination which is coming up, or kind of like extra you get. Whereas if you've got a champion that does a poison damage attack, a poison dot damage, you're able to get a true sense and a true strike buff. This means that you turn your champion into a miss counter, an auto block counter, and an evade counter. That can be really effective if the end boss is somebody that has something on them that makes them unbearable. So that's really good. In any case, we'll kind of look at that as we go. So, one of the first new hacks is Proud Degeneration. Knocking down the defender grants the attacker with a 30% prowess buff for 8 seconds. When launching a special attack, all hits have a 20% chance per prowess effect to inflict a degeneration debuff. So in a nutshell, get prowess, do a lot more damage as a result. Fantastic. I love that one, especially because it means I can break out certain champions. Some of the top level champions will be ones that can access those prowess effects easily. APOC will start the fight with any kind of without need for ramp up, especially if he's got genetic code. Kitty Pryde, easy access. Magneto, easy access. Bishop, easy access. Professor X, easy access. Lower ones will be things like White Magneto, Gambit, Storm, Pyramid X, and Storm OG, to name but a few. And also there's Proxima Midnight, Scarlet Witch Classic with a Quicksilver synergy. But again, it's going to be down to whether or not you personally would set that up. If you have a relic assigned, you do more prowess. So it's like you get more prowess. So that's going to be incredibly impressive and good for you. Next up will be alternating enhancements. If the attacker ends a combo differently than last used, they get a 20% prowess buff for 12 seconds. When striking, the attacker has a 20% per prowess effect on them to be passively unblockable. And then if you got a relic, then it's double the chance to go unblockable. Again, this is what I'm talking about. You're forced to kind of do the relic. It's all of and champions wise, it's all of the same before that I've mentioned. We'll move on to Armor Burst. Armor Burst. Basic attacks have a 30% chance to grant a 8-second armor up, granting 20% armor rating. Special attacks inflict a burst of direct damage equal to the attacker's current armor rating. If the attacker has a relic equipped, this damage is multiplied by the attacker's critical damage rating. So champions that have easy access or easy build to things like armor up are going to be very, very effective for this. And I personally will rate Colossus, Silver Warrior, Viv Vision, if you're lucky to get it very early on, Nimrod, and Mega Sentinel, Howard the Duck, to name but a few. But there's going to be others, especially because you've got Red Skull, which I think is going to be very effective. But I don't know if you'd never necessarily want to take it into Incursions. Hulkbuster, Odin, Angela, War Machine, Warlock, Guillotine 2099. There's tons, but again, it does depend on how you want to see this particular build in the fight, whether or not you kind of like Ultron as well. But I kind of feel like the first line, you're building armor more regularly and you're able to do a lot more damage. I find that Colossus might be quite effective for this. Viv Vision, I would love for this. Mega Sentinel will probably be one of the best because I think that champion as well as Nimrod play into some other nodes that are currently out there. And Howard the Duck has Fury, so if you've got a Fury enhancement hack, then I think that's going to be great going from fight to fight on stuff. Draining Degeneration, right? Knocking down the opponent inflicts a power drain debuff, draining 60% of a bar of power for 7 seconds. Love that, by the way. Plus additional seconds for each armor up effect active on them. While the debuff is active, anytime the defender is inflicted with a power burn, drain, or special lock effect, inflict a degen debuff, dealing direct damage over 15 seconds. If the attacker has a relic, apply 3 degeneration debuffs instead. Really handy, plays into some of the champions if you got armor up, we mentioned a moment ago, but power control options, especially with the anytime the defender is inflicted with a power burn, drain, or special lock effect, inflict degen, could be something you might want to play into. And for that, there are some options for it. Of course there are. Like whether or not you have Doctor Doom, Penny Parker, Dormammu, Viv Vision. Viv Vision would probably be really darn good. And also, I did mention it before with the previous lot, but iDoom, you know, the infamous Iron Man, that could work really well. Guillotine 2099 off an SP1 power control, but also don't rule out other champions like Vulture, especially because he has, I think, arm up functions within him. But also Nebula, Psylocke, Vision, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Black Widow, Clairvoyant going into Poison Curse. There are a few things that you can play about with this particular one. These two elements here interest me, but I don't know if they really matter, especially from a champion creation or team creation standpoint. All-out attacks and all-out effects. Increase attackers' ability accuracy by 10% and increase the potency of all attack enhancement hacks by 50%. If the attacker has a relic equipped, double the potency of effect granted by the hack. So yeah, or attack enhancement hacks by 50%. Good, that improves that. But these are like just 2 additions here. One to improve the attack side of things, and another one to improve the dot damage and also play into reinforcement. This kind of reinforces some of the old ones there. So there's just an easy kind of like, does your champion do a lot of damage? Yes. All out attacks, add that in. Does your champion do some debuff effects and wants to improve the potency? Well, why don't you get the all out effects one? So just what I mean is like they play into helping out any kind of like enhancements you've got on at the moment, but also going a bit above and beyond for your like buffs and also debuffs. This particular next hack annoys me a little bit. It annoys me because it's good, and the problem is you have to have a relic. I feel like I'm going to have to, this incursion season, apply a load of relics. I'll probably do a separate video like why I'm applying a load of relics right now. And it's because of these new hacks. Kabam want you to use relics a lot more, and it looks like this is the case. I'll explain why now. Attacks against a stunned opponent have a 30% chance to apply a poison debuff equal to their attack rating. While the poison debuff is active, the attacker gains a true damage buff, ignoring defender's resistance and armor rating. If the attacker is a relic equipped, instead gain a true strike and true sense buff. That is really darn good. It's really darn good because it expands out certain champions to be very good counters. Like, for example, Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Immortal Abomination, Gore, Ant-Man, Toad, Abomination, Apocalypse, Diablo, Man-Thing, anything that has any kind of like poison debuff as part of their kit means that it expands out the champion who has a relic, by the way, you have to have a relic with this, and gets that true strike, true sense, which means evade counter, miss counter, auto block counter. Yes, any champion will do because there's a 30% chance to get the poison debuff, but what I'm referring to with this is that you guarantee it. Doing a poison based effect with Black Widow, Clairvoyant, with Immortal Abomination, Gore, Ant-Man, Toad, whatever, you will be able to get yourself an extra bit of utility for your champion, which could be really important, especially if you're going to the end boss. Imagine you get that hack and then you're like going into the next room. Oh, the champion the enemy boss is going to be evading, or it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be auto blocking. Then this is maybe a no-brainer to go and put in some of these champions as an option for the end boss counter at the end. So it can be very valuable. And now we're going to end up with the last 3. There's not really much to notice about this or kind of explain about this because you got at the ready and keep it going. So with at the ready, and I had to really kind of remind myself what a spirit gauge is. A spirit gauge is you building up your striker bar, which I didn't, or striker button. I didn't actually know that was for a moment. I kind of thought, oh my god, that's what that is, isn't it? Because it says attacking champion spirit gauge fills to max at the start of the fight. When a striker attack is launched, the attacker gains unblockable buff for 8 seconds, plus an additional second for each damaging debuff on the opponent. So basically, armor breaks, anything that's kind of like non-damaging, really in a nutshell. The spirit gauge fills double the rate when an unblockable attack is landed. So whilst you're unblockable, do a load of damage, build up your spirit gauge, do another striker based attack for your relic. I mean, that's kind of like a no-brainer on what it is. And then also keep it going, which is every 10 hits, the attacker's combo meter applies an armor break on the defender equal to their attack rating for 10 seconds. The spirit gauge fills double the rate when striking an opponent under the effect of a non-damaging debuff. I mean, it just makes perfect, sense. Just to go like, oh, non-damaging debuff, hit a champion, yada yada yada, blah 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 blah. It's not really kind of like these two here. I mean, they're right, but it depends on the rotation. You might be able to do more consistently passive stuns after the throwing of a relic more frequently, and when doing that, it's like fantastic. And final point is these hacks will be added to the general incursions pool of this month, but will no longer be indefinite. Boo. There we go, that has been the video. I thank you very much for watching, and check out the link in the description which goes to the spreadsheet. We'll try and get an infographic made at some point for this, but yeah, everything takes time, and we've got to move all the clock. Time's ticking, people. Need to move on to the next part of updating the spreadsheet with more info, with things to come, especially as the event drops tomorrow. But that's been a video. Thank you very much for watching. Check out some other content located on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video whenever that'll be. Cheers, bye bye.